In nearly 15 years of training, I've been given loads of expert advice on how to train without pain. And yet that same advice caused me loads of injuries and setbacks. After coaching so many awesome people over the years, I've changed how I teach in order to prevent these issues. Here are 6 pieces of good advice that you need to stop doing so that you can be pain-free and keep doing the things that you love. Let's dive in. When you're lifting weights, you want to use good form, proper alignment, and good technique. But the funny thing is that my perfect technique was actually leaving me with loads of joint weakness in certain positions. Lots of training forms cannot include everything. We can't do everything all of the time, so stuff inevitably gets left out. You end up hammering the same muscles again and again and again in the same ways, and then when you inevitably do end up out of alignment, you can't cope with it because you have no strength there. Among the people that I work with, it's the ones that move and lift perfectly all of the time that are actually the most stiff and get injured the most as well. And that doesn't seem fair. When I went through this phase, even though I could deadlift crazy amounts of weights, I would still regularly tweak my neck, my back, my knee, my shoulder, picking up light things if my core wasn't braced and my back wasn't perfectly straight. And that doesn't really work for daily life.
What's the fix, Tom? What's the fix?
What's the fix? The fix is heavy weights. Yes, whenever you're lifting heavy weights and doing sport-specific stuff, we want to think about proper alignment and good muscle engagement, but we also want to make sure that we're adding in weird movements in separate mobility sessions and in our warm-ups and our cool-downs. Round your back and bend and twist yourself in all kinds of weird positions. Also make sure to roll your ankles and stretch your wrists in the ways that you can too. If you're always trying to be careful and not loading these things lightly over time, you end up with tons of weakness, and just moving like a gym bunny is no help to anyone. If I could just sort my tight hamstrings, everything would be better. But then you start doing 5,000 hamstring stretching exercises to work on just one problem whenever your body has over 600 muscles. At one time, I only believed that I needed to just work on my external hip rotation, so I became obsessed with the pigeon stretch and started working on it all of the time, even though my hips were bad in so many other ways. It actually resulted in me tweaking the ligaments in both of my knees because my hips were so tight, I could not tolerate the pressure. Social media tends to react well whenever you post stuff about having a sore red bit or one specific problem or use this one hack or this one simple trick. But if that is all you're relying on and you're using those hacks multiple times a week, you can actually have unintended consequences. Focusing on just stretching one muscle can lead to joint instability, causing you to stretch all of the time and actually end up hurting in a different way. And this can lead us to actually missing the real causes of our problems. The thing that absolutely changed my life was to stop thinking about individual muscles and to actually think about joint function as a whole. So in terms of the hips, we want to make sure we're doing something for our flexion, for our extension, for the adduction, for the abduction, and also for the external rotation and the internal rotation, or Fiedebexen for short. So if you have movements that do all of those functions of the hips equally, we happily by accident catch whatever needs worked on because nothing gets left out. I have lost count of the amount of times clients have told me that their constantly tight hamstrings or problem areas have finally went away after years of being a problem just because they worked on their joint mobility as a whole. Because all of your muscles are being worked together, so the grumpy ones are no longer being overworked. It's this concept that grew into our flagship program, the Simplistic Mobility Method. It's 15 exercises done in the proper order with the proper muscle engagement so that you know that you haven't left anything out. Happy joints means happy muscles. Breaking news! We're just having a live incident in the stiffy epidemic. Over to you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. I'm here live at the scene where someone has just experienced their first whoopsie. Let's see. Ma'am, what happened?
I was just turning to get out of the car and my back popped. It's so sore.
Never worry, ma'am. You just need my online program, the Simplistic Mobility Method.
Oh, wow. 4.9 stars on Trustpilot? I feel better already. Thanks, Tom.
All in a day's work, ma'am. Now back to you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Foam rolling has been shown to increase blood flow and increase range of motion almost instantly. Problem was, the more that I used it, the more that I needed it. My warm-ups got longer and longer, and my training started to look more like S&M than training. I especially had this recurring knot underneath my shoulder blade that I basically ended up rubbing out daily. Unfortunately, what was actually going on is that my body was giving me a warning sign and creating tightness for a reason. I was rubbing it out and getting rid of it, and then all of a sudden I started having loads of shoulder problems, and a few months down the road, bam, it felt like my shoulder had popped out of the socket and I had a really bad long-standing injury. I spent an absolute fortune on different physios, and funnily enough, it wasn't more massage that helped me, it was doing the actual exercises the physio gave me to do. He also pointed out that the bits that I was poking weren't actually the bits that needed worked on. Referred pain can come whenever one side of the body actually pulls and tugs and you feel it on the other side of the body, so it is best left to the professionals when it comes to massage. I wasn't trained in myofascial release, but because my pain went away for an entire day, I must have been doing it right. Learn to relax your muscles through movement, so actually using the muscles instead of trying to override pain with more pain. That's never going to work long term. We want to control our movement and give ourselves more strength, stability, and coordination so that everything feels safe. A body that moves well has less reason to give pain. It's something that takes time to override any of these bad habits that your body has, but as you're moving and stretching, take the time to check your breathing, and also check your neck for any unnecessary tension as you move, especially with movements you find quite challenging. Over time, you start to make everything move a lot smoother, and when bodies feel more confident, there's less reason for pain, and there's no reason for your body to tighten up to try and create a false stability. Remember that happy joints make happy muscles. When you've got limited training time, you want to focus on the biggest, most effective exercises. But when I started training, I was riddled with imbalances and joint restrictions that I had no idea existed. And as I progressed with my training and started learning new skills, I thought that stretching would be a waste of time and I would lose all of my gains. My joints started hurting all of the time, and I thought because my numbers were going up that I was getting stronger. But I wasn't. I assumed that's how you're supposed to feel. Go hard or go home. No pain, no gain. But I was wrong. Unfortunately, we can't only do the fun stuff. It's important to work on the boring mobility things, because if we don't do that, we could be building the foundation of a dodgy knee in 10 years' time, and we don't want that. The thing that happened to me with all of these imbalances and trying to train through it was that I completely wrecked my spine, and I had to spend the best part of a year learning how to improve all of this stuff so I was able to walk. Not train, just walk. That's not fun. If you want to be physically capable for life, yes, we want to have a complete program that makes sure that we're challenging ourselves, but we also need exercises that put us back together again and work on any of our imbalances or joint restrictions or past injuries that we may have. Despite how beautiful and sexy those big muscly Instagram trainers and fitness coaches may look, they don't give us the full insight to their entire training, so there might be stuff that they're leaving out, or they could be sore all the time and just not saying. The normal amount of pain is 0. You shouldn't have any pain whenever you're moving and training. So 5 to 10 minutes of accessory work or having a wiggle here and there seems like a good trade-off to me. When you're in pain, you want to rest. And yes, if it's a sudden injury like a tear, break, sprain, or similar, that's exactly what you should be doing initially. But that's not necessarily what you should do for every ache and niggle that you get. Back in the day, if I was hurt and couldn't train the way I wanted to, I would just do nothing. Absolutely nothing. Until the pain went away. Then I went straight back to the same training frequency, the same weights, the same workouts, and wondered why I only lasted about a month before my issues would come back again, even worse. If something is constantly hurting and you're consistently doing the same thing, you don't need rest. You need to change what you're doing. I was trying to force myself into movements that I didn't have the flexibility or stability for, and it blows my mind to think how much I went through that train, get injured, rest, train, get injured, rest cycle. If I had fixed these problems, I wouldn't have had any of the issues that I did. You can't just rest and ignore an issue and then go back 2 weeks later after resting to doing what you were doing before. You can't also blame exercises and styles of training for your injuries whenever millions of people all over the world can do them absolutely fine. You need to figure out what your own specific limitations are and fix them. Realizing I was lifting too much too soon in a body that wasn't ready is the best thing that ever happened to me. If you think about it, if you don't move well and you keep training through it, you're just strengthening those compensations. Your body can get strong wrong and you can get away with stuff for a long time until you don't. Pain is a signal for change, not to rest. Just do yoga! But should I do Bikram yoga, restorative yoga, yin yoga, vinyasa yoga, anusara yoga, jivamukti yoga, hatha yoga, iyengar yoga, kundalini yoga, ashtanga yoga? Do I do one or do I do them all? We see this comment on our social media all the time, just do yoga, but it's such vague and unhelpful advice. When I started my flexibility journey, I looked for the most convenient yoga class that I could find. And I straight away took my blockheaded mentality, because I'm not a beginner, to the hardest things I could possibly try and forced myself into even more positions that I still wasn't ready for. I was showing up sporadically and hitting some cool poses and even patting myself in the back, thinking I was awesome trying all the hardest things. But bing, bang, boom, I would just end up injured again because they were too hard for me. So then, what do? I start bad-mouthing yoga and telling people that it's dangerous. But if you're not embarrassed by your 10 years younger self, you're not growing, I say. Picking and choosing the parts of yoga that you want to do isn't a good way to work on your aches and pains. It's an ancient practice that should be respected. You absolutely can use yoga to complement your training, but take it seriously. Use the beginner progressions for things, work on them for a few weeks rather than just jumping into the full end goal. And if you don't enjoy it, you don't have to do it. Pick something that works for you when it comes to improving your flexibility and something that you can stick to long term. Personally, I like to know that I've done just enough of the right stuff to not be sore and be able to have fun and do the things that I enjoy. But I know now that I have enough of a mobility foundation that if I did want to take up yoga, I'd be able to do it safely and I would know to start right from the beginning again. That's what we're about really, is just making your body move well like a body so that you can try the things that interest you. With information just a click away on social media or by using AI, it is more important than ever that we know how to find context in the stuff that we're watching. What is this person saying? What does this person mean? And how does this apply to my own specific circumstances? If you would like guidance from us on the best way to lay your foundation without the fluff, then head over to tommorrison.uk and check out the Simplistic Mobility Method.